You're watching Force 13's live streaming service.
This is Force 13 live with your coverage for this evening, covering Typhoon Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses, Tropical Storm Eta, and our newest tropical storm, the 30th record-breaking tropical storm in the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, Tropical Storm Theta, and we still have Etau, now down to a tropical depression, dumping heavy rain over the Vietnam area. We will be covering all of these in this 90-minute edition of Force 13 Live. My name is Timothy Ringo. I'll be your host. And we are going to fade the team in, which is a very small team this evening. We have Isaac and David for this evening's team. Our primary focus is going to be focusing on Vamco, as it is just off the coast of the Samar region, getting over towards the central and southern Luzon areas. Signal 2 and Signal 1 warnings already in effect for this area. We could potentially see some Signal 3s go for the central Manila area. And we'll fade Isaac and David in. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Tim, and to our viewers. And what does one say about the overall tropical scene? But Tim, we've got a typhoon in Vamco, and viewers, a joint typhoon warning center is saying rapid intensification. Tim?
Yep, JMA actually updated their information as of the last update. Now 85 miles per hour. That is 1 minute sustained conversion. Pressure of 967 millibars. Their last advisory had it at 985. So this is really deepening at a very rapid rate at this time. Signal 1s and Signal 2s already still in effect. We'll take a look and see what Pagasa has for any new information. Last I checked, it's still Signal 1s and Signal 2s unless there's more information that becomes available. But we're going to start out with Vamco here in the center of the screen. As you can see, it is just north of the Samar region, just to the northwest of the Catanduanes Islands there of the Philippines. And what's ironic is this area just got hammered no more than just about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, by Super Typhoon Goni. It's also been impacted by Etau earlier this month. We had Malawi also earlier this month, and Saldel. So the Philippines really getting hammered this season with, from my count, at least 4 to 5 tropical cyclones, a couple of them being significant typhoons. And as we zoom out, we'll take a bit of a broader look. There's not much left of it. What is left of Etau is through the central part of Vietnam. The last information that I had on it from APCF is Etau is now just down to a minuscule 15 miles per hour, pressure of 1,014 millibars. So Etau is pretty much just a little swirl that's going over the central Vietnam, getting over towards the Laos and area. And that's what we have going on the West Pacific. You can actually see Vamco getting a pretty decent eye there on the last couple frames. So we're going to take a quick jump over to the Atlantic here. And I think Isaac has some really good imagery here. So we'll pull this up for a better perspective. But there you have Tropical Storm Eta there on the left. looking like it's trying to rebuild some convection back up just to the north of the western side of Cuba. There is still some tropical storm watches and warnings. In fact, tropical storm warnings for the dry tortugas of Florida, and we may see some more watches and warnings go up during the overnight hours and going into tomorrow morning for the Florida coastline. And all the way over on the other side of the Atlantic is our record breaker. Yes, our 30th tropical storm of the season in Tropical Storm Theta. National Hurricane Center has it at 70 miles per hour, pressure of 989 millibars, and it is going to be moving up towards Europe, may impact the Fiore Islands here, just off the west coast of Africa, up towards Portugal and Spain over the next 3 to 4 days. So that is what we do have going on. If you do have any questions for us this late evening, you can tag us at Force13. It'll light up in a nice orange text, as we do have some questions coming in, and we're going to answer a few of those, and we're going to get Isaac's imagery up here. And Isaac, you can let us know what you're seeing off of this imagery here right quick.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at water vapor imagery of Ghost 16 here, and you can see the current, activity going on in the Atlantic here. We, of course, to the left of your screen, got Tropical Storm Eta just north of western part of Cuba there. In the bottom middle part of your screen, we got Invest 98L that is trying to organize here and has a really high chance of formation, actually, for the next 5 days here as it gets further into the Caribbean. And, of course, on the top right here, you see, like what you said earlier, alluded to earlier, our record breaker, Tropical Storm Theta that formed last night. Currently a 70 mile per hour tropical storm and forecast to be gradually weakening. I think after 24 or 36 hours from now, I believe.
All right, we do have a couple interesting questions coming in already. First one from Hurricane Sandy asking, why is Eta moving more northeast than north as it's supposed to? A lot of that has to do with some of the steering currents. I know Kay talked about it on last night's stream, where there really was no steering current and it was forecast for a front to be pulling more north. That front is starting to come through and maybe a little bit stronger than anticipated, so it may be pulling it to the northeast a little bit more than what was forecasted. Another question from Tropical Weather Updated. Thank you for your question. What are the chances that Theta becomes a hurricane? Right now, I don't think it is forecast to be a hurricane. We'll have to see what the NHC has when we go through the full advisories here in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's if it's gonna do it, it's have to do it in the next 24 to 36 hours, at least from what I'm seeing on the models here. After that, the models have it start into degrade here and intensity as it continues to move east. So if it does, end up trying to reach hurricane status, it's gonna have to do it in the next 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah, and a lot of people are talking. National Hurricane Center will be setting out their next advisory here in about the next 20 minutes. So once that new information comes out, that bottom bar will be getting upgraded here in due time. But we're going to take a look at what the current advisories are that we do have, as we do have the cone for Eta up right now. Still keeping this as a tropical storm. This is a bit contrary to what we had a couple days ago, where this was forecast to become a hurricane. Right now, National Hurricane Center has backed off of the possible chance of a hurricane, but this still could be a very tropical storm. 60, 65, maybe 70 miles an hour is not out of the question. And we do have tropical storm watches in effect for the western part of Cuba. Tropical storm warnings are for the dry tortugas. And for the first time this season, gentlemen, we now have tropical storm watches north of the Tampa area up towards the west coast of Florida. This was the only area this year that had not had any watches and warnings. So with these watches now in effect, I believe this is the first season that we have had officially where we have had either a tropical storm watch, warning, hurricane watch, or warning of some sort that has impacted every single piece of coastline of the United States. We're talking all the way from Brownville, all the way across the Gulf, up the east coast of the United States, all the way up to Maine. I don't think that has happened any time on any other season to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure Nathan, being the historian he is, will be able to verify that. But to my knowledge, this has never happened in modern weather keeping records.
And Tim, I'm just looking at the NHC wind speed probabilities, and people need to keep monitoring and be prepared, because this system can't make up its mind what it wants to do, and again, it's what is driving it.
Yep, and that's what we're going to be keeping on over the next couple days as we take a look at our record breaker here. Yes, this is Tropical Storm Theta. All the way out in the Central Atlantic, you have the Azores up here. You have the Fiore Islands here. I believe these are the Canary Islands up here. And this is as of 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, that it is at 70 miles per hour, moving east-northeast at 14. So it will get close to the Fiore Islands here over the next 3 to 5 days. It is going to transition into an extratropical system by the time we do get into Saturday, and we could see some impacts for Portugal, getting up towards maybe the northwestern part of Spain, and may move up into the channel north of Spain, and may get in towards maybe northern France and southern England area over the next 6 to 10 days. So if that does happen, you will want to keep an eye on Force 13 UK and Ireland for any information that they put out concerning Theta once it does get into that area.
Tim, I'm just reading the discussion on the tropical storm, and water vapor imagery shows the mid-upper level trough that was over the Azores is beginning to leave the cyclone behind. Based on these factors and the earlier indications of the compact radius and maximum winds, it appears that Theta has completed a transition to a tropical cyclone. Even though the cloud tops have recently warmed, the overall structure has degraded by much since the previous advisory. Now that I'm just reading the discussion.
Yeah, David, and that's something I think that caught us all by surprise. There was some hint over the course of yesterday that this could break away from a front that is attached to, and you can see that front there on Isaac's screen. That front is out ahead of where Theta is, and that's going to be moving into the western African coastline and into Portugal and Spain over the next couple days. But Theta was actually able to detach itself from the front, was able to really get some good convection, and was able to go from a subtropical storm earlier in the day to a fully tropical system as of the last advisory. Again, it does look a bit dreadful in terms of convectiveness, so I'm surprised the NHC still has this at 70 miles per hour. We'll have to see what they decide to do with it on the next update. I don't think they're going to keep it at 70 miles per hour at this time, because it does look pretty awful compared to what Eta looks like.
And it's interesting to note that the tropical storm will be moving over cooler sea surface temperatures and within moderate wind shear conditions. The air mass is expected to remain unstable for the next day or so, which should be supportive of deep convection. And they're saying, Tim and the viewers, little change in strength is indicated during that time. Some weakening is anticipated later in the forecast period. But Tim, as you said, the wording in their next advisory.
Yeah, that next advisory is really going to make or break what Theta stays at. It could maintain tropical characteristics for the next few days, but by the time we do get by the end of the week and then the weekend, NHC does have some pretty good confidence. It is going to start transitioning back into either a subtropical or extratropical system over that time period. So we're not going to see too many impacts over it. Might bring some rough surf conditions for the Azores, the Fiore Islands, and the Canary Islands before it does get into Portugal and Spain sometime next week. But we're going to come back over to the western side of the Atlantic, and we're going to bring up some rapid scan imagery here of Eta, how it's been looking. This is the rapid scan off of College of DuPage. We got the last hour and a half uploaded here, and Eta right now looking a lot better than what we were looking at last night. It looks like it has really shed a lot of that external influence. It had that external cloud cover that we were seeing over it yesterday, and it has really consolidated itself, and this does look to be a pretty formidable system now at 60 miles per hour. NHC will be updating here about the next 10 to 12 minutes, and I'm not entirely sure if Recon is actually in there at this hour or not.
Tim, I just want to draw your attention and the viewers. Can we just backtrack down into the Lesser Antilles? There's another area of interest in the NHC. It's got it 20%, 48 hours, 5 days, 80%.
Yeah, we can.
Before we go to that,
go for it,
I
Isaac.
wanted to mention the new National Hurricane Center update for Tropical Storm Theta has come in. They still have it as a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Pressure still 989 millibars. And you have it moving east-northeast at 12 miles per hour is this newest update.
All right, so they are maintaining Theta as a strong tropical storm, 70 miles per hour, 989 millibars. Thank you, Isaac, for that update. But we'll go down here to the Lesser Antilles here to this other area of interest that is bringing heavy rains to the Martinique area, the Guadeloupe area. This is what's forecasted to move to the west, and we'll actually get a little drawing out here for our team and the viewers. This is the area of interest right now, and this is forecast to move west into the Central and Western Caribbean. And what's bad about this setup is we've already had 8 or 9 tropical systems already developed in this area of the season. But climatologically speaking, this is one of the favorite areas for the first 10 to 12 days of this time of the month. That off of NOAA archives, where a total of 36 storms has formed in the first 10 days of November. 11 of them being right down in the southwestern Caribbean, where we saw Eta form. We've seen Delta and a few others form this season. But right now, we're actually in the right climatological period for this area of interest to form. I believe National Hurricane Center has it at 80 or 90 over the next 2 to 5 days.
Yeah, 80%. 40 now and 80 in, 5 days. So, what's the next name? Anyone know if this
Iota.
does develop?
The next one is
It would be Iota.
Iota, or if you try to do the whole Greek name, it's Ilta, I believe.
Yeah, it's incredible to see that. We're pretty much getting if you were to show me this entire map, all the satellite imagery and National Hurricane Center web page right now, I would, and if we were to cross out the date, I would think we're talking maybe late September, maybe early October here. Nothing like mid-November right now. It's just incredible to see how we're having so many systems active in the Atlantic here at this time of the month for the hurricane season. It's really a testament to how active this hurricane season has been here. And again, if this storm does get named Invest 98L, next Greek name up would be Iota.
Yeah, Iota, or as the Greeks call it, Ilta. But while you were getting ready to jump on that, David, we do have some radar imagery here now out of Key West. This is of Eta, and yeah, you can see this is looking a lot more organized, especially on radar. Really good circulation. I'm not sure. I'm actually going to stop it here on the last couple frames here, and I'll get my little Sharpie out. I'm not sure if this is trying to develop something right around that area. I'm not saying that's an island feature, but that is starting to look very interesting there on that last still frame. So that could be very concerning over the next couple of days. I mean, not saying it is an eye, but I know some of our other viewers may look at that and say, oh, it's an eye forming, it's an eye forming. I don't think it is, but you can see just on radar, its structure is much, much better compared to how it was, say, 24 hours ago.
Definitely. So it's... Go ahead.
Go on, Isaac. Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna further, go add on to that. It's improved. It's central dense overcast at CDO here. It still remains, at least from what I've seen lately, it's still a fairly sheared system. Reconnaissance plane has been in this storm for the past 2 hours here. Data has finally flowed on in now, and we're getting hurricane reconnaissance data. And they've pretty much found the storm's pretty much been, stagnant in terms of intensity here. Really not really intensifying much. If anything, maybe even slightly weakening here the past 2 hours according to recon. So really interesting to see here. Unless, of course, maybe the center realigns maybe more east here. Or maybe potentially could be looking at more further strengthening like the National Hurricane Center. I believe we're still forecasting for this storm.
Yeah, I mean, there is that chance of strengthening. We could see mid-60s, almost 70 miles an hour. Actually, we'll take a look at the National Hurricane Center forecast advisory right quick before we go back over to the Westpac. And they're forecasting a strong, very strong tropical storm, 70 mile an hour peak as it does move parallel to the Florida coastline. Some of those outer bands may impact some of the west coast of Florida. So up from Marco Island up towards Tampa, maybe a little further inland towards the Ocala area. You may get some heavy rain out of this. So definitely keep the umbrella nearby for the next 2 to 3 days as this does go through. But
Tim, sorry guys, just reading the NHC key message to picks up about the heavy rainfall will continue across the western Cuba, South Florida today, tonight, and spreading up the west coast Wednesday through Thursday. Additional flash and urban flooding will be possible in South Florida.
yeah, definitely the flooding threat is going to be there, and we will go over the new watches and warnings when the NAC releases them here in about the next 7 minutes. But we're going to jump back over to the West Pacific, where the biggest threat tonight is Typhoon Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses, and it is getting very close to the northern Samar region there, as you can see off of the infrared. And this is not an area that really needs this kind of impact, since it's already been impacted by 5 or 6 systems this year.
And Tim, picking up on an earlier comment of yours, it looks like Signal 2 warnings are in place.
Yes, there are Signal 2 warnings in place for Central Luzon. This does include Metro Manila and does go down into the southern part of Luzon. Signal 1 warnings do extend north towards the northern part of Luzon down into the Visayas region, and we will have to see what Pagasa has here in the next few minutes, see if they've updated their warnings. But we're going to be here with you guys for the next hour, and we are driven by you, the viewers. So if you guys do have any questions for us, you can tag us at Force13, all in text. It'll light up real nice for our team, and it looks like one of our team members, Ethan, indicating that tropical storm warnings have now been issued for the west coast of Florida. So that means the NHC information has come out. And we'll go back over to, looks like Isaac might have that information up for us already. So we'll go back over to his screen.
As you can see, the National Hurricane Center has updated the webpage here. They have it moving north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Minimum pressure 992 millibars, or maximum sustained 1-minute winds at 65 miles per hour here. And you can see the forecast header there. NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft reports that Eta is a little stronger tropical storm warning and storm surge watch issued for portions of the west coast of Florida there. I don't think the cone is updated yet. Just take a quick look at the forecast description. I know you probably can't really see it that much, but they still forecast it to peak as a 70-mile-per-hour high-end tropical storm within the next 12 to 24 hours here before it starts to gradually weaken.
All right, and we will get the new warnings up here very shortly. It does not look like that cone is updated just yet. So when that does come out, we will get that information on screen for the viewers. In the meantime, we'll go back over here and look at Vamco some more here.
And Tim, on the, are we saying a typhoon?
Yeah, JMA does have it as a typhoon at 85 miles per hour, pressure of 967 millibars. Good chance that this is really starting to ramp up its intensity. I would not be surprised if we don't see it become a Category 2 here very soon.
And Tim, I think Pegasa will issue later on this afternoon, evening, signal free.
Alright, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that here over the next hour while we're on air, and we'll see if we get any new information on that. As right now, just looking for more questions here from our viewers, and if you guys have, any of our team has anything else they want to discuss while we're on air, we're driven by you guys, the viewers. So again, tag us at Force13 on text, and it looks like, Isaac, you've got some radar of the Philippines there?
Not quite here. Of course, you know, with our luck here, the radar sites that happen to be in the line of the eye here are offline at the moment, so now we're only getting the outer bands of the typhoon, unfortunately, on Philippine radar.
It's alright. It's still good enough to look at, and that radar is showing some very heavy rains in the northern part of Luzon, and some more rain bands down in and around the central Samar, and I believe that is the Mindoro region. Is that what we're seeing there? Is that... No, that's not Mindoro. That's, I think, the Bicol region. I'm sorry. I apologize to the viewers if I butchered my geography there. I'm not that familiar with Philippine geography, but yeah, that is the Samar and Bicol region of the Philippines, getting the rain there to the south, and then the heaviest rain there in the northern part of Luzon there on that image that Isaac is providing.
And Tim, that's the area where the level 3, signal 3 could be introduced.
Yeah, and what's really heartbreaking, David, is this is the same area that during Super Typhoon Goni was under Signal 4 and Signal 5 warnings when Goni went through. So this area that's being impacted has not had a lot of time to recover from what was a catastrophic landfall no more than about 2 weeks ago. So this is definitely not really great news coming out of the Catanduanes, Samar, and Bicol regions of the Philippines at this time.
You can see, actually, probably can't see on this infrared imagery here. Let me go ahead and switch to another one here. Sorry. Right here, you can see the island that got hit really bad by Super Typhoon Goni not even 2 weeks ago, getting slammed by those negative 80 degree cloud tops there from this strengthening typhoon here. So really unfortunate to see that they're getting affected again, and they're certainly probably going to put a hamper on any recovery efforts ongoing in that part of the Philippines here. This is a really unfortunate scene playing out here.
Yes, it is, Isaac, and we're going to come back over and take a look at the new NHC cone as it is now out.
One of our viewers, sorry mate, one of our viewers is saying, read the cone, and that it's drawing closer to where to his location.
Yeah, and we are going to be discussing that cone here right quick. as this is the latest National Hurricane Center that was just issued as of 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we now have tropical storm warnings in effect for the Florida West Coast from Bonita Beach to the Suwannee River. A storm surge watch has now been issued for the Florida coast from Bonita Beach to Steinhatchee River, including Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor. Tropical storm watch has now been issued for the Florida Gulf Coast from north of the Suwannee River up to the Ocilla River. And we still have tropical storm warnings in effect for the Dry Tortugas to Bonita Beach and to the Suwannee River, Florida area. And a storm surge watch, okay, I've already read that out. And a tropical storm watch remaining in effect for the Cuban provinces of La Habana, Artemisa, Mabiac, Pinar del Rio, and Isle of Youth. And tropical storm watches north of the Suwannee River to the Ocilla River in Florida. So NHC now has really stepped up their wording for these warnings. And Isaac, looks like you have that storm surge graphic up on your screen.
Sorry about that, I accidentally muted myself. The storm surge graphic has parts of Florida receiving up to looks like anywhere from 2 to 4 feet of storm surge here on parts of the coastline of Florida. Look at this new graphic from the National Hurricane Center, the peak storm surge graphic. As you can see there, between looks like Bonita Beach and Flamingo, Florida, they forecast anywhere from about 1 to 2 feet of storm surge. Looks like from north of Bonita Beach and parts north all the way up to the Steinhatchee River. I believe I'm saying that right. If I'm saying that wrong, please correct me in the comments below. But they predict in that general region of Florida 2 to 4 feet of storm surge.
Just taking a quick look at Pagasa right quick, seeing if they've done any updating. Does not look like they have. Their last one was as of 8 a.m. Philippines time. So we may read out the warnings on this right quick as to what we have for the Philippines, as that is still the higher threat, even though we do have tropical storm warnings in effect now for the west coast of Florida. But here is what Pagasa is saying in terms of winds. That severe tropical storm force winds will be felt in and around the tropical cyclone signal 2 warnings. Pagasa indicating this is likely to intensify into a typhoon in the next 12 to 24 hours. Keep in mind that the JMA and Joint Typhoon Warning Center already have it as a typhoon. JMA already has it at 65 knots, 10 minutes sustained. JTWC running with right around 70 miles an hour. So this is already a borderline typhoon to a typhoon already, depending on which agency you're listening to. Right now, Pagasa still not on board with it being a typhoon, but they do forecast it to be a typhoon in the near future. Storm surge, they are forecasting up to 3 meters over the coastal areas of Quezon, including the Polillo Islands, Camarines Norte, Catanduanes, and the north and eastern coastal areas of Camarines Sur, and 2 meters over the coastal areas of the Aurora, Bataan, Pampanga, Bocán, Metro Manila, Cavite, Batangas, and the northern portions of the Mindoro provinces, including Lubang Island, Marinduque, Romblon, and Masbate, including Ticao and Boreas Islands. So we now have a dual threat on both sides of the world now, with Eta prompting tropical storm warnings and typhoon conditions for the central part of the Philippines.
And Tim, 27 foot or feet wave height, according to the JTWC for Vamco.
Wow.
I did mention a few years earlier, the centre is actually saying weapon intensification for the next few hours. So Pagasa's update will be interesting, although the JMA has it weakening tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be weakening over the next 2 days once this does make landfall in through the southern part of Luzon. And you can see now Isaac's got a better radar look on Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses, and that looks like a pretty mean storm there, Isaac. That eye well defined on that radar.
And
Yeah, the radar side.
to do it to you guys. I got breaking news. Ethan has indicated signal 3 has been issued.
All right, we'll see where they've put those signal 3s at. I know I just looked at Pagasa a couple minutes ago. They had signal 2s up. We'll take a look, see if they've updated them. And they have. We do now have signal 3 warnings in effect for Vamco. And these signal 3s are for Luzon itself. So we will put this up on screen and you can see the areas are for the signal 3 warnings. I'm not going to read them all out, but if you see your area on there, be advised you are now under a signal 3 warning, which means you can see up to 120 kilometers an hour, up to 170 kilometers an hour of winds in the next 18 hours. That pretty much means they're forecasting typhoon conditions now in and around the Luzon area in the next 18 hours.
And Tim, can you have a look at their latest advisory, number 13? What's caught my eye, as we know, it's now, or she's now a typhoon, moving closer, and destructive winds, intense with at times torrential rainfall associated with the region of the eye wall and inner rain bands of the typhoon will be experienced.
Absolutely, David, and we are back over on Isaac's screen as we take a look at what Vamco is looking like now as it is starting to slowly bring its way closer towards the central Luzon region. I'm going to take a minute and read the warning that this was issued as of 11 a.m. Philippine time. Ulysses now intensifies into a typhoon while moving closer towards the Quezon Aurora area. Destructive winds and intense with at times torrential rainfall associated with the region of the eye wall and inner rain bands of the typhoon will be experienced over the northern portions of the Canto Andes, Camarines Sur, and Camarines Norte until tonight, and over Aurora and northern portion of Quezon tonight through tomorrow morning. Again, signal 3 warnings now in effect for the Luzon region. Typhoon intense winds are anticipated with this system. Signal 2s still remain in effect for the remaining part of Luzon. Signal 1 for another part of the Luzon region. I will read out the signal 1 warning since this is not a very large list. This is for Isabela, the rest of Carina, the rest of Nueva Vizcaya, Kalinga, the mountain province, Ifaguel, the rest of Benguet, Abra, Locosa, the rest of La Union, the rest of Occidental Mindoro, the rest of Oriental Mindoro, Romblon, and the rest of Masabte. If you're to the north of those areas, you are under signal 2 warnings. And then if you are further north than that towards the central part of Metro Manila and east of Metro Manila, you are under signal 3 warnings now.
And Tim, so this is a major development. What I've just picked up in their advisory, within the next 24 hours, rough to very high seas, 2.5 to 10 meters will be experienced over the seaboard areas under the warning signal, and the eastern seaboard of eastern Samar, currently not under the signal 1. The surge of the northeast monsoon will also bring rough to high seas 3 to 6 meters over the remaining seaboard to the northern Luzon, 2.5 to 3.5 over the seaboards of, I think it's Calayan Islands.
Absolutely.
The warning has at 27 feet. And then next advisory we'll probably see the 27 up to probably 28 or even 30. So
Absolutely. I'm taking a minute here and trying to get the bottom bar graphics updated here, so bear with me for. If you do have some questions for our team, you can tag us at Force13. It'll light up for our team, and I see one question coming in asking what the speed of Vamco is. Is it expected to become fast after landfall? We can take a look at the Joint Typhoon. Actually, we can take a look at the Pegasa cone here right quick. And we'll put it back up here on screen real quick. As this is the cone from Pegasa. And it has it right over probably Metro Manila 5 a.m. on the 12th. So you're talking this is less than 12 to 18 hours out. Actually, no, I said correctly. It's 10 a.m. there in the Philippines. So this is about 19 hours out from going over the Metro Manila area as a very significant typhoon. After that, it looks like it will go out into the South China Sea and may make another landfall in the northern Vietnam region, which between the Philippines and Vietnam, neither one of these areas really need another tropical system. Both of them have been getting hammered with system after system over the last month. So neither place right now, neither the Philippines nor Vietnam really can afford to take another storm of this caliber.
And to our viewers, and Tim, an apology for the break in Tim's audio. He's had to adjust his microphone settings, so please persevere with us. It's too important not to relay the information. But the next round of advisories are going to probably paint a different picture, but I'm just looking at the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's current advisory on Vamco. Tim, an eye feature has begun to appear over the past 6 hours. The initial precision is based with fair confidence based on the banding features in the MSI loop as well as in the microwave eye feature in the 91 gigahertz image. Multiple agencies report fallout current intensities of T4 65 knots, and the initial intensity of 75 knots is hedged slightly higher than these agencies' intensity estimates. The steering ridge builds in the near term. The typhoon will continue to track on a westward trajectory towards the Philippines through the next 12 hours, and the environment will remain highly favourable during this time. Additionally, analysis of microwave imagery shows that rapid intensification is likely to take place before landfall.
Absolutely, David. And one of our team members, Ethan, there was able to scour the new signal warnings map up, so we now have that on screen. So there you can see where the signal 3 warnings do go through. That does include the Cantuantes area, southern part of Luzon, in through the central part of Luzon. Signal 2s for the north central part of Luzon, including the Metro Manila area down toward the Batangas region, the northern section of Mindoro. That does include the Marinduque area, which has been hit by a few storms recently. And then the Signal 1 warnings now extending down into the northern Samar region through the Central Islands and the southern part of Mindoro. So that is what we have for the signal warnings, 1s and 2s and 3s warnings for this time, for those from Pegasa.
And Tim, Ethan's just posted for those viewers wondering about the CDPS. Ethan's saying stage 8, assuming 100 knots.
Okay, I'm not too sure for what the CDPS is. I have not calculated it, but if what we're seeing is a stage 8, then that's what we have from our team is a stage 8 on the CDPS for Vamco at this time.
And the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, sorry, as I mentioned, they say more intensification.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the JTWC yet, but we will take a look at that here very shortly. We're going to go back to Isaac's screen and get another look at that radar, see if we've got any newer frames on it. And Isaac, you can let us know what you're seeing on it.
Well, the radar won't update for another 4 minutes or so here, but this is currently what it looks like right now. Fortunately, got the radar sight back up. I don't know for how long, because it appears it might get into the eye wall here of the typhoon shortly. I also may note here, may be hard to see, but on the bottom right of your screen, you see the island of Catanduana is right there, and the northern part of the island is now looks to be in the skirting the southern eye of this typhoon. And in much of the island as well. So toward the northern parts of the island seem to be in the inner eye wall of this typhoon, unfortunately, as well. So this is really going to be putting a hamper on any recovery efforts going on in the island right now. It's really unfortunate to see this ongoing here. And I do, regarding the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, the last cone that I saw, they predicted a 95 knot peak from this storm before it makes landfall in the Philippines. This is about, I think that's about 110 miles per hour, if I'm not mistaken, which would make it a high-end Category 2 equivalent typhoon. So really not good news for the Philippines here, especially for parts of the Philippines that went through a nightmare scenario here with Super Typhoon Goni not even 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely. And we are now joined by one of our other graphic team members and one of our other tropical and severe weather specialists, Thomas. Good evening, Thomas. What are your thoughts on the entire tropical scene this evening?
Well, it's been a crazy tropical scene around the world, starting with the Atlantic, because I know we're probably going to be talking about Vamco for the majority of the evening, but I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit. Eta's probably going to bring some impacts to the Florida coastline as a minimal tropical storm. Tropical depression could peak as a minimal hurricane. I think we all know that. Theta is some significant news. Could become a brief hurricane as well, crazy enough. We'll see what turns out from there, but I think that, again, Vamco is the main threat that we're going to be taking a look at for tonight. And, again, this could be a significant typhoon, over 35 inches of rain possible in some spots in the Philippines, an absolutely massive wind field, and there's a possibility this makes landfall as a minimal Category 3 typhoon.
Yeah, and that is the big concern, and that is why Pegasa does have those Signal 3 warnings now out. If it does get to be a major typhoon, like they're hinting at, I would not be surprised if we don't see maybe a small handful of Signal 4s go up. Not saying that they will pull the trigger on that, but that is very possible that we could see Signal 4s go up.
Yeah, Signal 4s could definitely go up at this point. We'll just have to see. But regardless, this is going to be a significant typhoon. Regardless of the signal warning, we have this, I believe, we just got a fix of a stage 8 on the CDPS scale. So this is quite large in wind field. It's going to be producing lots of rain. It's likely that, this is going to be a destructive storm. The Philippines have just recovered, or at least have just began recovering. I shouldn't say recovered. They're probably nowhere near there, but they're just starting to recover from Goni, and now this is arriving, and it's not good news.
No, it's not. And again, I apologize to the viewers for the audio issues. Not entirely sure what's going on with the microphone here at US HQ. Hopefully, The adjustment that I just made while Thomas was talking has alleviated any issues that we were having on my end. So again, apologies to the viewers if you were not hearing everything that I was covering so far this evening. And we will take another quick look back over at the Atlantic. I know we have covered Vamco extensively. I know we've had a lot of questions asking about Eta and Theta. Sounds like a couple of twin sisters there, the way these names are with the Greek alphabet. But we will go back over and take a look at those right quick, as new information has come out on both of those systems. And we will go off of Isaac's screen, as he does have Eta up right now.
This is a CONUS imagery from Go 16 updates every 5 minutes here. Gives you a little bit of wider perspective of planes here that you can't really get using the meso sectors. And you can see still some fairly deep convection firing over, well, not over, but near the center of circulation here. I believe it's slightly off center to the southwest, if I'm not mistaken here. But it really depends if it tries to do that center relocation here, that radar may be slightly hinting here. I'm not going to say that, that's 100% the center. I haven't been able to plot where the storm is currently located at, so I can't really confirm if that's actually where the storm is at, or maybe if that's a false center per se, a higher up in the atmosphere center, not the lower level center here. But definitely a still interesting and really really odd system of track here, I must say, over the past few days, from when I made landfall in Nicaragua to now. It's just really an odd storm here, and I'm sure it's probably going to be also studied for years and years to come here once it's finally said and done and decides where it's going to go in the end here.
Yeah, this is definitely a storm, Isaac, that has been very trying, not only for the NHC and hurricane hunters, but for us here on Force 13 as well. Trying to figure out where exactly this storm is going to go, what it's going to do. And we had the latest radar imagery up on it, and it still looks pretty decent. It looks just a little bit disorganized compared to what we were looking at earlier. You can see the leading edge of the heaviest rain getting ready to push back into the Key West area. So we will see some heavy rain start coming down in that area here in probably about the next 30 minutes or so. And we'll see if we can get a better look down further to the south, as you see some of the bands on the southern side starting to really fire up and reinitialize. And we're seeing some heavy rain across the central area of Cuba. So Havana, the capital of Cuba, may be getting some heavy rain off of Eta at this time.
Tim, considering this system, how much rainfall, and this is something I've been thinking about during the night, how much rainfall has it generated?
I know from when it first made its landfall through the Florida Keys, places like Fort Lauderdale had gotten anywhere between 9 to 15 inches. That actually was enough rain to prompt a potentially dangerous situation flash flood warning by the National Weather Service out of Miami, which was basically saying, hey, you need to get off the roads. This is a dangerous situation. And you can see the graphic that Isaac has up there, 10 to 15 inches of rain still offshore. But as this does start moving closer towards the Florida coastline, you may see Tampa start getting into that 4 to 6 inch, maybe 6 to 10 inch rain area. And that's just going to move towards the northeast. So places like Tampa, up towards Ocala, maybe Jacksonville, if this does move up towards those areas over the next 3 to 5 days, we'll get some very significant rainfall from what it is forecast to bring.
Nice.
Forecasted to bring by the National Hurricane Center quite a bit of rainfall on their public advisory. They actually have it. Where in southern Florida, isolated additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible, with storm total accumulations in the end being around 15 to 20 inches. They're saying that we could get an additional 1 to 3 inches in Cuba still, with isolated areas up to 25 inches of rain in total when it's all said and done. So this storm is not over. It's definitely not what it used to be, but it's still going to be bringing significant rainfall, significant winds, and it's still going to be bringing some dangerous conditions to the Florida and Cuba coastlines.
Yes, it is. And we do have a couple questions coming in asking, is there anything out in the Westpac after Vamco? We can take a quick look back over at the Westpac. I know Nathan discussed this last night. And right now, just looking out over the Westpac, I'm not seeing too much. There is a few little showers and storms out in the Central Pacific, out in the northern Micronesian islands. You do have a few little pop-up showers here just up towards the northwest of Hawaii. I believe that is the Marshall Islands over there. And you've got then Guam, Saipan, and all that in through this area with a few showers impacting that area. But outside of that, I'm not really seeing too much in terms of development in the Westpac. I mean, you do have Vamco, which is front and center, and you have Etau over in Vietnam, and it's hard to see, but down in the bottom left, and we'll actually go over to Meteosat for this, just so we can take a look at it. And you can kind of see it here on Meteosat a little bit better. That is 92S down in this area. I believe it's right in this general area in between Indonesia and just well to the northeast of the Mauritian Islands. So La Reunion and Mauritius not going to be a threat for this right now.
And the Joint Typhoon Warning Center has percentages at low or no central pressure has dropped from 1,010 to 1,008. The biometeorology over here is monitoring, but if anything happens, it'll most likely have the attention of the Indonesian Met Office.
Absolutely, David. And it looks like we have a better radar look here from what Isaac is providing. What are you seeing there, Isaac? Looks like we don't have Isaac there at the moment. There we go. Now we got Isaac.
I'm having issues with the audio, so I couldn't hear what you were saying there for a second. But yeah, this is another look at the radar for the storm right now, and you get to see this how it's progressed here. I don't know if this is the exact sensor here. It could be just a kind of like a false sensor per se here, where it's not actually down to the ground here, and this is only kind of in the upper atmosphere. You do see this occasionally with storms of this magnitude here with Eta here, so I don't know if this is the actual sensor here, if this is kind of like a false, like a red herring, I guess you could say, that radar is showing for this. But regardless, you could see some rainfall trying to get its way into the Dry Tortugas area and in parts of western Key West, Florida there, in the Florida Keys there, from the storm here. Hence why there is, I think there's tropical storm warning in effect for the Dry Tortugas area of Florida Keys there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there is. Dry Tortugas is under tropical storm warning, along with the Bonita Beach down to the Suwannee River area on the west coast of Florida.
But Tim, the Eta has the structure, as we said, has really improved. And is there an attempt at AI?
Hard to say. I know earlier last night, definitely looked like it was trying to, during a time in between reconnaissance missions. There's no, of course, reconnaissance planes that were in it at that time, so unfortunately we won't know if it was actually slightly stronger than it was at that time or not. But certainly it could be trying to get going here before it starts to enter those really, not favorable conditions for development. It gets away from these warm sea surface temperatures in the southern Gulf of Mexico here, and once it gets into those that more drier, stable air that is over near the Florida Panhandle.
I think what's the NHC say in their latest discussion
Well,
update?
currently they have it as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and they forecast it to intensify to a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm within the next 12 or 24 hours here, and then eventually, after about the next 24 hours, they expect it to start gradually weakening as it nears landfall over the Florida Panhandle in their latest update.
And I think storm surge. What do we know about storm surge for the western side of Florida in coming days?
Well, for areas south of Naples, I'm not really too familiar with my Florida cities here. I'm not native Floridian here, unfortunately. So anywhere from, I think, if I remember reading a storm surge graphic here. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up here really quick. I don't have it on hand. Let's see here. Oh, there it is, actually. Right here. They forecast a peak surge of about 2 to 4 feet all the way up to the Steinhatchee River in Florida, all the way down to, looks like, around Bonita Beach, Florida there, about 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. And areas south of there, between this area south of Bonita Beach, all the way down to Flamingo, Florida, they forecast a storm surge of around 1 to 2 feet there.
And as I've said to other privately viewers inside Force 13, there's just no let up in this activity. And Isaac, I want to ask you this question. What did Nathan predict when he did his hurricane outlook? How many systems did he say that we could see? And I know we're past broken 2005.
I'm not too sure. I want to say it was predicting a little bit of above average than normal season. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm sure there's probably people in the comments that'll give you like an exact answer on that. But I don't really remember to tell you the truth here. But I want to say he predicted a slightly above average season at the start.
If I remember, and my numbers might be off, but I believe Nathan had 25 for this season, which would have carried us into the Greeks, and we're pretty much right there into the Greeks. But I don't think any of us expect us to be deep into the Greeks, so that's the bit of the different story for what most of us were anticipating.
Certainly. I mean, if you would tell me in May when we had our first two storms before season here, we were gonna get all the way up to Theta in mid-November here, I would have thought it's just a joke or somebody is trying to hype this hurricane season here. But no, we've had a really active season here in terms of named tropical cyclones here. Of course, the total for named tropical cyclones is 29. If you include, I think it was Tropical Depression 10L, then we would be up to, including depressions, we'd be up to 30 tropical cyclones here if we include that one tropical depression. And I think it was during the time when Isaias was active.
And Tim, Thomas has just provided some info on storm surge and some locations and height.
Yeah, just seeing that right now. Storm surge, according to the NHC, reads as follows: the combination of a dangerous storm surge and the tide will cause normally dry areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters moving inland from the shoreline. The water could reach the following heights above ground somewhere in the indicated areas if peak surge occurs at the time of high tide. From the Steinhatchee River to Bonita Beach, Florida, including Tampa Bay and the Charlotte Harbor, 2 to 4 feet, and from Bonita Beach to Flamingo, Florida, 1 to 2 feet. The irony, though, the one area that has not been that active this season is what we have on screen right now, and that is the East Pacific. It is about as dead as we have seen it. Not even really anything that is going to be very noticeable in terms of any kind of area of interest out there. So the East Pacific being pretty well dead and dormant, which is what we figure with the conditions that we've had with a very strong La Nina in effect across the Nina 3-4 region of the equator, which does inhibit a lot of tropical cyclone activity for the East Pac. We were calling for a below average season, and it has been fairly below average. Right around 15 storms. I believe the last storm we had was Odalis, and that has already fizzled out in the last few days. So East Pac looking pretty quiet at this time. But the rest of the Northern Hemisphere, far from quiet at this time. We already have talked about Eta and Theta. We did talk about the areas of interest in the Lesser Antilles, but we will go back over to the Atlantic real quick, and we will touch base on all three systems that we have ongoing. You've already heard us talk about Eta already, so that one's not too hard to find here on the map. That is this area here. And then our record breaker, our 30th tropical storm of the season, which does break the record set in 2005, is this little blob right here. That is Tropical Storm Theta with 70-mile-per-hour winds. It is forecasted to turn extratropical in the next 5 to 6 days. Will impact maybe the Feroe Islands, going up towards Portugal and Spain in the next 6 to 7 days. And then we do have this other area of interest down in around the Lesser Antilles that is forecast to move into the Central Caribbean and could develop into our 31st named storm, as it is forecasted by the NHC at 80 and 90% over the next 2 to 5 days. So if this does develop, the next named storm we would get is Etau, if it does form. And I think I actually have a better look at the area of interest there off the Lesser Antilles.
Yeah, you can see it there. Just organizing here. It's not forecast to develop immediately here. Of course, National Hurricane Center have it at a 20% chance of formation throughout the next 48 hours, and then through the next 5 days. They have it as a 80% chance of formation into at least a tropical depression strength storm or higher. And their latest graphic on that. And of course, like you said, Tim, if it does get named, it'll be given the name Iota, and it'll be our 30th named tropical cyclone, or 31st total tropical cyclone if you include, I think it was Tropical Depression 10L earlier this year. So then that would make it 31 tropical cyclones this hurricane season.
Which by far supersedes any record in the modern record-keeping area. I think the only other season that may be comparable to this would be 2005, but if you go by accumulated cyclone energy, this season still has a long way to catch up. I still believe it is still well behind 2005 and 1933. So officially on the NHC's calendar, there's 20 days left of the season, but we could see activity bleed well into late November and possibly early December. So we could see a repeat of 2005 activity, with activity going through the end of the year. And we don't say that lightly. It is very possible we could see activity well into December and maybe a year-ending system.
Yeah, it's just, we keep saying it, but it's definitely on the realm of possibility here. I think, at least, for us to get into middle part of the Greek alphabet naming list here before the season's said and done here. I mean, if you're to say that to me in May or early June, I think you're going crazy. But I mean, honestly, just seeing how the season's gone, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. It's not impossible, but I'm not going to say it's also 100% going to happen here. Just in the realm of possibility that we could easily see that, and it's just I just can't believe I'm saying that here. I thought when people my age here were growing up, 2005 was pretty much like the benchmark hyperactive hurricane season here. But now, take a look at 2020 here, and just quite a different animal here. Fortunately, unlike 2005, we saw a lot of fairly weaker storms compared to 2005. In 2005, we had a lot of really strong major hurricane impacts. unlike 2020. But I mean, even still, in 2020 we had storms like Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Zeta, not too long ago, and other storms, of similar magnitude here. Not, of course, on par with 2005's, infamous storms, but still a fairly active.
Yeah, this season definitely has been very active, and we're going to take another look here at Typhoon Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses, as this is starting to look still very impressive overall. This is how it looks on the real Earth imagery of Himawari 8, and we'll see if we can get this in motion here. And you can see it is just to the northwest of the Catanduanes Islands here, just to the north of the Bicol region, and it is going to be moving almost west-northwest. So you can see Metro Manila, Central Luzon, right in the line of fire for this storm. Now, I know there's been some questions with whether or not this could make major typhoon last. I think we lost you there for a minute, Isaac.
Yeah, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi does that sometimes, so I apologize if I was cut off there at the end. My Wi-Fi went out for a second.
Not a problem. We're back over on the Westpac now, discussing Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses. And right now it does look like this is going on that west-northwest trend through the Metro Manila and Southern Luzon region. So this is definitely something our team is keeping an eye on as we go throughout the morning hours of the Philippines.
This is definitely something that is not to take lightly by any stretch. I think that we can say for sure that this is a typhoon at this point. I've been looking at making my own intensity estimates, which I like to do, and right now I have reason to believe that the storm is at least 80 to 85 miles per hour, according to the latest estimates from satellite estimates, as well as just the overall improved appearance of the storm. I mean, unfortunately, it looks like the storm's appearance is improving relatively quickly. So at this point, there's some reason to believe that this is a stronger typhoon.
I would agree. We ran with 75 miles an hour initially at the stream. I think last look, I would think it's 85 miles per hour, and looks like one of our fellow forecasters, Ethan, forecasting this is probably 90 miles per hour, as we have the Force 13 cone up for the areas that are going to be impacted for Vamco, noting that this is a very dangerous situation, as this is a stage 8 on the CDPS. Major typhoon being forecast in the next 12 hours. It'll blow through the central Philippines, maintain at least minimal typhoon status before going across the South China Sea, and maybe looking at a strong tropical storm impact through the North Vietnam area. So again, Philippines, Vietnam, seems like we're calling out those two countries the last month, and the cycle continues with Vamco.
It's really unfortunate that we continue to see storms moving through in this general direction, and I don't want to jinx it, but I think that Vamco is going to be the last storm that we have to worry about for the foreseeable future, for the next week or two in the Western Pacific. I could very well eat my words, but as of now, after looking at latest model guidance, I don't see much forming over the next week or two. Chances of anything new after this are very, very low. But yeah, you can see there 90 miles per hour, 980 millibars forecasted. That's the current intensity by our own Ethan Bruning. I'd say that estimate is a little high, but I'd agree with it. I think that that is a reasonable estimate at this point, given the fact that it does appear the storm is improving relatively quickly on satellite. And those yellows there, those are those minus 90s or minus 100s, Tim?
I believe those are -100s that are popping up there on the real Earth
Wow.
infrared. They're very rare to see those, and when they do pop up, you know you have a storm that means business.
Yeah, sure. And Isaac's radar here again continues to show appearance of a storm that's looking quite ominous. And I feel like this eye is really starting to get better organized with time. And I'm really worried to see what the storm's going to be looking like when I wake up tomorrow morning.
As what I, Thomas, and what's interesting is the real Earth imagery does not do the storm justice. This radar that we're getting from Isaac's screen really illustrating the beast that is under those colder cloud tops. I know we're seeing -85s, -90s on the infrared, but it's really not painting just how strong this storm really is. This radar really painting a really good picture. You're seeing those oranges and reds on the western side of the eye wall, indicating that's where we're seeing probably some of the strongest winds within this storm.
Those winds could be up to 90 miles an hour, as our latest intensity estimate has just shown. So, I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. That's right on the edge of Category 2, and I wouldn't be shocked if that upgrade is called here at Force 13 within the next few hours. You can keep an eye on our social medias for that. But, I mean, this storm is strengthening relatively quickly, especially for its size, and I'm really thinking that the only reason this isn't going to intensify really quickly is because it is so large.
Yeah, that may be the mitigating factor that keeps this storm from really ramping up any more than it already has. And we're about out of time here. We got about another 10 to 12 minutes left. So if you, the viewers, have any last minute questions you want to ask our team, now's the time to ask them. You can tag us at Force13 all in text. It's going to light up real nice for our team. And we will try to get as many questions in here in the next 6 to 7 minutes before we do a full recap as to what we have going on in the tropics this evening on the east coast of the United States and early morning, almost afternoon in the Philippines. So we're going to take a quick recap. We'll go back over to the real Earth. Actually, we'll keep it on Isaac's radar as we're going to read out the warnings from Pegasa as they did update with their 11 a.m. update, as there are now Signal 3 warnings in effect for the central part of Luzon into the northern part of the Catanduanes and Bicol regions. We'll see if we can get that graphic back up right quick for what we did have. This is just a quick look at the summary, and you can find this on Pegasa's website. So if you're not familiar with it, is just search up keyword Pegasa, Pagasa, and it should bring you to the Philippine Pegasa website where you can see these same warnings that we are putting up on screen. And there is what Pegasa is forecasting in terms of intensities and where they could see the landfall at. They have it going just north of Manila, so we'll have to see if that holds over the next 12 to 24 hours. And there you go, David posting a link to the Pegasa's website there.
Yes.
But we will go back over to the, we'll go back across the Atlantic here. We're going to recap the Atlantic side. Obviously, we have Theta at 70 miles per hour, but the biggest threat there is going to be Eta. And we do have a bunch of warnings in effect. This is as of the 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time update. Tropical storm warnings now issued for the Florida West Coast from Bonita Beach to the Suwannee River. We now have a storm surge watch now in effect for the west coast of Florida from Bonita Beach to the Steinhatchee River, including Tampa Bay and Charlotte Harbor. Tropical storm watch being issued for the Florida Gulf Coast and north of the Suwannee River to the Osceola River. You've heard us talk about some of that storm surge, 1 to 2 feet in some places. Tampa Bay up to Charlotte Harbor could get 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in and around those areas. And we still do have a tropical storm warning in effect for the Dry Tortugas, and a tropical storm watch still in effect in Cuba for the provinces of La Habana, Artemisa, Mabiec, Pinar del Rio, and the Isle of Youth. And that is all the warnings we have in effect in terms of Eta. As for the signal warnings for Pagasa, we're going to get that map up right quick. We're going to go back over to the real earth imagery of Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses while we get those signal warnings back up right quick. And there we go. There is the map, and I'll actually read these out. I'm not going to cover all of the provinces, but if you're in and around some of these areas, then you should know your areas pretty well. Signal 3 warnings for the southern portion of Aurora, the eastern portion of Pampanga, leading over to Bucalan, Metro Manila, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, the northern and central portions of Quezon, leading over to the Pulido Islands. So if you're in any of those areas, and these are the areas that are in orange on the graphic, you guys are under Signal 3 warning. So typhoon conditions are anticipated for your area. Getting into the Signal 2 warnings, which is the yellow areas shaded on this map. This includes more areas of Luzon, including the central and southern portions of Quirino, central and southern portions of Nueva Vizcaya, including the southern portion of Benguet, the southern portion of La Union, the rest of Pampanga, the rest of Nueva Ecija, the rest of Aurora, Batañas, the rest of Quezon, Marinduque, the northern portion of Occidental Mindoro, and the rest of Caminare Sur, Albury, Sorsogon, Boreas, and Ticao Islands. If you're in any of those areas north or south of the two areas that I just discussed and you're in the light blue, you are in Signal 1 warnings. So that is what we have for warnings in and around the Philippines for Typhoon Vamco Philippine Name Ulysses. And we will take a couple minutes here and get our closing thoughts from our team here.
Where does one start?
Yeah, where does one start? I mean, we have another typhoon impacting the Philippines. We now have a record season in the Atlantic. Where does one go with this season?
But seriously, viewers, the people in the Florida region need to be prepared. We know what the National Hurricane Center is saying. Localized flooding. Over here to my north, Westpac, storm surge, and I won't be surprised to see the Joint Typhoon Warning Center in probably about probably 5 hours from now. They're saying the wave height has increased. Pagasa, I think they said 10 meters, which is what, 30 feet plus. But there's just sadly, and my heart goes out to the people over there in the Philippines, even Vietnam. It's just been unrelentless, and we just got to stay strong and monitor the local authorities.
Thomas, your guys' closing thoughts?
I think that it's been a crazy hurricane season. I mean, I'll start with Eta. Eta is likely to impact Florida here in short order. It's not going to be anything like the Eta we saw that hit Central America, but I mean, still, you're going to be experiencing significant impacts from that. Theta, the record-breaking storm, the first time the name's ever been used, and it is the 29th named storm of the season, 30th tropical depression of the season. We have an AOI in the Caribbean. That's worrying me. The conditions are looking quite good. Even after Eta put a decent dent in the ocean heat content, I mean, you still got enough to support a major hurricane over there. So that's something we're going to have to watch really closely. And then out in the Western Pacific, of course, we have Vamco, which is intensifying quickly despite its large size, and could, relatively soon, become a major typhoon. So I'm not liking what I'm seeing in the tropics right now. I hope that everyone's buckling down and staying safe. This is a serious situation for the Florida coast, and especially for those in Luzon.
Absolutely. Isaac, any thoughts from you before we wrap up? Did we lose Isaac?
I think he has disappeared. But viewers, we just got to, people just need to keep monitoring and be prepared, have an emergency plan.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
And
We got Isaac back. Yeah. Any thoughts from you, Isaac?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why my Wi-Fi is like cutting in and out, so I apologize for the things in there. But I was pretty much gonna say just like what a year this has been so far worldwide here. West the Pacific with Super Typhoon Goni and a few other storms this season, and as well the main attraction, I think, at least for the Northern Hemisphere, the Atlantic basin, really active and the record-breaking Atlantic hurricane season here. I can't really say much more than what already Thomas and others have said in this call already. For typhoon, I already forgot the name of it. What's the name of the typhoon again?
Vamco.
Sorry, it just goes to show how long of a season it's been. It's just taking a toll on my memory here. But please take that typhoon seriously. It's opening up some fresh scars that were already given by Super Typhoon Goni here in parts of the Philippines here. In fact, parts of the island of Catanduanes is under the eyewall right now of this typhoon, so it's really hampering any recovery efforts ongoing for this typhoon. So just please keep an eye on it. Listen to Pagasa here and your local officials here, and just keep a close eye on what they say. In terms of the Atlantic here, keep a close eye on Tropical Storm Eta here. Really still an uncertain forecast here in terms of intensity and track, but we seem to be getting a little bit better idea of where generally may be going here compared to just yesterday. So just please keep an eye on that. Tropical Storm Theta, absolutely no threat to the United States, or could be a threat for parts of extreme western Europe, maybe as the next tropical system. And of course, Invest 98L could become our next major significant system to watch here in the Atlantic here, potentially, if the models are to be believed. So just please keep an eye on that and over the tropics. And that's pretty much all I have to say here.
2020 still proving that it has a few tricks up its sleeve with Typhoon Vamco, Eta, Theta being the record breaker this season, and plenty more still to go with this 2020 season. I am Timothy Ringo. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Stay safe if you're in the Philippines. Keep an eye on our social media outlets and keep an eye for tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Nathan will be around to run landfall coverage on Typhoon Vamco. Keep an eye on everything going on in the world of weather, our outlets, Twitter, Facebook, and here on YouTube. You guys have a great night and stay safe.